This episode contains detailed descriptions of violence. Please take care while listening. It's September 7th, 2016. Robert Bever is led into a Tulsa County courtroom wearing a jail-issued uniform. He's handcuffed and shackled. Robert stands before District Judge Sharon Holmes, admitting to one of the most gruesome crimes in Oklahoma history. With a curt, "Guilty, Your Honor," he pleads guilty to killing nearly every single member of his immediate family.
Ryan Brashler was in the courtroom this afternoon, joins us live tonight with more. Ryan.
Mark, it's been more than a year since that grisly stabbing murder in Broken Arrow. Now one of the men responsible found out he's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars.
The elder Bever brother had turned 19 by that point. There would be no trial, instead, just a deal to keep him off death row. Tulsa County District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler says Robert's life was only spared because of the surviving sisters.
I have a surviving teenage young girl and a toddler, and those children deserve a life. And I am not going to saddle them with what I know the reality of a death penalty case to be.
Robert was sentenced to consecutive life without parole prison terms for each count of murder. His mother, April, his father, David, and three of his siblings, 12-year-old Daniel, 7-year-old Christopher, and 5-year-old Victoria. He also received an additional life sentence for the assault on his sister, Crystal, who was 13 at the time.
This is a tragedy of immeasurable dimensions.
That was one of Robert's attorneys, Mark Hendrickson. He told reporters his client would probably have an easier life in the penitentiary than he did at home. We'll come back to that and the family's life behind closed doors in a future episode.
These are my crazy tattoos.
Now 29 years old, Robert has spent roughly a third of his life behind bars. His sentence isn't just written in court records, it's also inked on the skin across his knuckles.
I got 5 life without parole plus life, which was what my original sentence was, on my knuckles.
And that sentence would grow even longer because of something that happened behind bars. I'm Brenna Rose, and this is Massacre on Magnolia Court. Episode 4, Brothers on Trial.
We should not want children going to the state penitentiary.
Michael Bever was 16 years old when the attack took place. His attorney at the time, Rob Nye, had argued he should be tried as a juvenile.
We have to recognize that there's a difference in their culpability, and the current Oklahoma statute doesn't recognize that difference.
The state making the argument that the sheer brutality of what had happened warranted adult prosecution, and the court agreed.
The teenager will stand trial as an adult in the murders of his own family. 16-year-old Michael Bever faces 5 counts of first-degree murder.
If early court proceedings were any indication, jurors were about to see and hear things that few people would ever forget.
It was gruesome. The murders that took place in the home were graphic and terrifying, a true bloodbath worthy of the worst Hollywood movie.
A new layer to this story had emerged: allegations of abuse inside of the Bever home.
On cross-examination, we learned a lot about the defense's plans. They're going to portray the Bever parents as abusive, as possibly violent, that the father would throw the kids around, drag one of the sons upstairs when he left a light on, that they did this because they were abused.
In the weeks leading up to Michael Bever's trial, the focus shifted from what had happened inside of the home to what happened after. There were accusations of missing evidence and tampering centered around a hard drive, the question whether it held video from the night of the murders. The controversy eventually leading to a Broken Arrow detective resigning. By then, Tulsa County Chief Public Defender Corbin Brewster had taken over the case and called the situation suspicious.
If there are communications between the DA and the detective that lost evidence or whatever happened to the evidence, those are going to be relevant to how that evidence was handled.
But District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler shot down any suggestion that evidence was being hidden.
We don't even know if it was ever recorded. All we know is there were cameras and we know there were computers.
A state investigator later testified that they couldn't recover any usable footage from that hard drive, so it was turned back over to the Broken Arrow Police Department. And that's when it went missing. The mystery of the missing hard drive eventually came to an end, but not because it was found, because the judge had heard enough. In April 2018, nearly 3 years after the massacre, the youngest Bever brother would finally face a jury. Finding 12 people who hadn't already formed an opinion proved difficult. The case had dominated headlines for years.
The judge questioned those jurors. He wants to know if they can remain unbiased despite already hearing the details about the gruesome murders of almost an entire family.
After 4 days, a jury was selected. The case had hung over this community, a reminder of the unimaginable violence that had unfolded on Magnolia Court. Set up outside of a Tulsa County courtroom, cameras were positioned, ready to capture what many had hoped would be the final chapter. 19-year-old Michael Bever was facing 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of assault and battery with intent to kill.
The courtroom was pretty packed for the first official day of trial. Opening arguments revealed new details in how the brothers allegedly killed their siblings and parents. According to prosecutors, the brothers tricked their siblings into opening doors before brutally killing them.
That's former K2L reporter Amy Jensen. You'll hear from her throughout this episode. The trial gave a disturbing glimpse at the brothers' plot, the one that we explored back in episode 3. The case was graphic. Of the 358 photos taken at the crime scene, the jury only saw 162.
There were questions about overwhelming jurors with too much graphic content.
I've never seen the crime scene photos, and frankly, I don't want to. But I've read the autopsy reports. April Bever suffered nearly 50 stab wounds, significantly more than any other family member. Her husband David had 28. Those numbers alone show the rage that unfolded inside of that home. The children each had multiple stab wounds, but the autopsy reports also included small haunting details, traces of who Victoria, Christopher, and Daniel were in their final moments.
One of the children was in yellow pajamas, that another had a guitar pick in his pocket. Final details of lives their loved ones stand accused of taking.
At the heart of this case was a single question. Was Michael Bever a willing participant or a teenager under the control of his older brother? Prosecutors described the 2 brothers as being consumed with violent fantasies, planning a massacre inside of their own home, and even plotting to post a video of the aftermath online. Both Broken Arrow Detective Eric Bentz and Captain Brandon Teener were called to testify, accounts you've already heard in earlier episodes. Several other first responders also shared their experiences in court.
Officer Shane Cothran took the stand today, and he was in charge of transporting Michael Bever to the hospital. During that entire time, he said that he had an audio recording on. He testified that Michael Bever made statements to the doctor who was clearing him about the murders. Cothran says that Michael Bever told the doctor he saw all 5 of his family members dead and said, quote, "I guess I got a little crazy and my family is dead."
He also testified that Michael told him he thought his older brother Robert was kidding about the murders. Detectives would hear that same explanation during formal interrogation.
I had taken it seriously at first, but then he started buying like a body armor and stuff. Basically, it just kept escalating, it kept getting burned, and he asked if I went in, and yes, I guess.
Michael's a little bit hard to understand. What he says there is that he didn't take it seriously until Robert started buying body armor. It kept escalating, and Robert asked if he wanted in. He said yes. It's the same question Michael was said to have asked his sister. Now 16, Crystal testified from a different courtroom.
She was very calm throughout, only getting obviously emotional once when she told the court she could hear one of her younger brothers scream during the attacks. Quite different than Michael Bever, who cried multiple times throughout the day. The sister did tell defense she never saw Michael actually hurt any family members, but described Michael and Robert Bever as very secretive.
She remembered them collecting knives and body armor, saying that she went to her mother with concerns, but they were dismissed as boys just being boys.
Make a well match, and that was very difficult testimony to listen to. I think it was hard for the jurors to listen to. I'm just glad that she's been able to get through it.
The state's witness list was extensive, and before arresting, the jury saw the video recording of Michael's interview with Detective Bentz.
Who did you stab?
I'm my elder brother, Christopher.
Christopher. How old was Christopher?
Oh, 9, I think.
According to Michael's attorney, there were several inconsistencies between that interview and evidence at the scene.
Michael says he stabbed his younger brother, Christopher, in the neck after Robert told him to do it, but according to autopsy reports, Christopher was not stabbed in the neck. The defense says detectives may have tricked Michael into saying things with their questioning tactics, causing him to give out some false confessions.
So how do you feel now? I mean,
I just kind of didn't want to do that.
On the tape, Michael says several times he didn't want to do this, and if he didn't, Robert would have killed him too.
One of the most significant moments that followed was when Michael's older brother Robert took the stand.
Robert Bever hysterically cried on the stand after seeing some pictures from the crime scene. He said he was sorry and that he didn't know what he was thinking.
He told jurors that he, not Michael, had committed all of the killings, that Michael had stood by and hadn't struck the fatal blows.
The defense is working to build a case around how Michael was brought up, potential abuse in the home, and Robert Bever's role in this.
Robert told jurors he was now on medication and had been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, PTSD, and borderline personality disorder. He testified he had never ever been to a doctor before his arrest. He also gave his account of what life was like inside of the Bever home.
He testified that his dad was physically abusive and his parents would shut themselves away throughout the day, saying sometimes he and his family wouldn't leave the house for months at a time. The defense has been pushing that the brothers' lives at home were far from normal.
His words contradicted earlier testimony from Sister Crystal. She told the court her father had been emotionally abusive, but said he was never physically abusive. It raised new questions about the motive and fueled intense speculation.
You could look at how Robert is testifying, but compare that with what his sister testified to. She was our first witness, or one of our first witnesses on the case, and you couldn't have two more disparate descriptions of what's taken place.
I think it's obvious that's not true. It's hard because they were so isolated. There's not many people that can tell that story. And I think that's the extraordinary part of Robert's testimony.
There was one person who jurors hadn't heard from, someone whose perspective might have explained it all. Would Michael Bever take the stand and share his own account? In the end, he never did.
When State started their closing arguments, they started with a quote they found in Michael Bever's journal that was found in his jail cell. It said, "Once upon a time, there were two brothers named Robert and Michael, and they hated their family, so they killed them." The end.
After nearly a month of testimony, the jury deliberated for more than 5 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous.
Breaking overnight, Michael Bever now awaiting sentencing after a jury found him guilty of 5 counts of murder last night.
Michael Bever was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 5 consecutive life terms, 1 for each of the family members killed, and an additional 28 years for the attack on his sister.
I am SORRY. He couldn't articulate to his very family, "I'm sorry."
Even though you didn't hear the word sorry, he got up there and in his way expressed his remorse, expressed his processing of this whole horrible event.
Michael's attorneys appealed his sentence, arguing the 5 life terms should run at the same time, not one after another. If the court agreed, it could have meant a chance at parole someday. But in 2020, the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals upheld the original ruling. As it stands, Michael Bever would have to serve more than 200 years before parole would even be considered. He's 27 years old now and is serving his sentence at a medium security prison in Oklahoma. He's never spoken publicly about what happened, and he didn't respond to requests for comment for this podcast. Since Michael never testified, the only time the public has heard from him is at interrogation at the age of 16. After all of these years, I wanted to know what Detective Bentz believes now. Was Michael just a follower, or something more?
I think it's important that people know that, yeah, I think Robert was kind of the mastermind behind it and the planner, and Michael did probably look up to him and was inspired by him, but he was just as much excited and involved about the mass killing thing that his brother was. They both talked the same about, oh, we want to have a high body count and all this.
I asked the same question to Tulsa County District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler. His response was even more blunt.
Do you think that Michael was influenced by Robert?
I am steadfast in my belief that Michael was much more involved in this, much more to a even more evil aspect. He may have been the younger brother, but in my opinion, he was the smarter brother. He was focused and was capable in the midst of a lot of chaos where most 16-year-olds, I don't think there's another 16-year-old who was innocent or naive or under the influence of another person who could have done what Michael was doing. Michael was directing the show. Michael was the one who was able to create the distraction for the very first strike with a knife. Michael was the one who was able to lure Crystal to his computer, have her sit down, pretend that he had some problem or wanted her to see something on the computer so that Robert could come up behind and try and slash her throat. That takes a level of sophistication. Did that stop him as this innocent little 16-year-old? No way. I mean, right then and there, you're getting to see real life and death issues unfold. Your sister has just had her throat slashed, and it doesn't scare or intimidate him. It motivates him on to the next part of the process. I mean, he initially said that he'd stabbed all the victims. We definitely have his DNA on knives and that were used. He didn't hold back. He was a part of this slaughter fest.
In an attempt to find the truth or get closer to it, I asked Robert. We picked up the conversation in a place where he offers a stunning confession.
I knew what we were doing was wrong, and I've always owned up to that.
Do you think he knew what you were doing was wrong?
What he knew? I can't answer that. I don't know. I can't really speak for him.
But Michael came up numerous times throughout my interview with Robert.
And was Michael having these conversations with you, or was this just you on your own doing this?
We had really weird conversations where I would do a whole lot of talking and he'd just be like, yeah. And then he'd come to me later with an idea or something. And so I thought that he was as serious as I was. I thought he understood what I was saying. I tried to write a manifesto about how I felt. It said legalized murder 2015. It was obscene and insane. And I thought that Michael really got it. I don't think he did. Because I've heard that he was telling Crystal that we were gonna kill our parents and take their money. The money? I don't know where he got that. And how he could have thought about it so little that he thought there was a scenario where we could get money from it. And I still to this day think that he didn't think it was real, that we weren't really gonna do it until I actually stabbed Crystal in the throat.
Robert says he sometimes does think of Michael. The Oklahoma Department of Corrections policy forbids the two from ever being held in the same facility, a measure meant to prevent collusion or further violence. Even with that distance, Robert still found himself in trouble. In 2019, he attacked 2 staff members and was sentenced to 3 additional life terms.
How do you come to terms with the fact that you're never getting out of prison?
I'm doing a service to the world by staying in prison. If I was to get out of prison, I would still have that drive and that want to be successful, wildly successful, because I'm full of myself. And that people would absolutely hate that. They would say, how can you go from doing something like killing your own family to living a life that other people only dream of? I think that if I had had the maturity and the insight
and the wisdom that I have now, if I had had that back then, sure. I still would have been a psychopath, but I could have done great things. Now, no.
It's hard to know how to respond to that. My mind goes to his siblings, the ones who never got the chance to grow up. Daniel would be in his early 20s today. Christopher would be nearing the age that Robert was at the time of the murders. And Victoria, she'd almost be the age that Michael was. What lives had they dreamed of? Robert's words did leave lingering questions about what was really happening inside of that home and who the Bevers truly were. That's next on Massacre on Magnolia Court.